There's this one skill we're all just expected to have, right? But nobody ever really teaches it to us. It's the skill that makes the difference between feeling completely overwhelmed and actually feeling in control. Today, we're going to master it: self-management. Think about it. School teaches you math. It teaches you history. It fills your brain with all these facts and formulas. And sure, that's all important stuff.
But what about the one skill that life throws at you like every single day? The skill you need to actually do the things you're supposed to do, especially when no one's looking over your shoulder.
Oh, you know that feeling, right? The books are open, your laptop's staring at you, but your phone is right there in your hand. An hour just vanishes, and that little voice in your head starts up. What is wrong with me? Why can't I just focus? Okay, I want you to hear this loud and clear. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You're not broken, you're not lazy, you were just never handed the instruction manual for your own mind. See, this is that one crucial skill school just forgot to teach us. It's the foundation that pretty much every other skill gets built on top of.
So what is it? It's called self-management. And let's get one thing straight, this isn't about having more motivation or some kind of natural talent. It is simply the ability to guide yourself when no one else is. It's the engine that actually turns what you want to do into what you get done. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We're breaking it down into 3 simple, super manageable parts. First, we'll talk about how to get control. Second, how to master execution. And third, the secret ingredient most people miss: recovery.
All right, part 1, the control switch. This is all about winning that first, and honestly, the hardest battle, the one that happens in those first 5 minutes. It's about one thing: how to just start.
So why is it so hard to start? Well, here's a little secret about your brain. All day long, it's making thousands of little decisions, and that gets tiring. When it's tired, it looks for the easiest path forward. And let's face it, scrolling on your phone is always going to feel easier than writing that paper.
So how do we actually flip that switch? We use a super simple recipe to get around that decision fatigue. First, you pick just one thing to do. Then you take away the biggest distraction. Yep, your phone goes in another room. Set a timer. This creates a really low-pressure window. But the most important step, it's the last one: start badly. Seriously, give yourself permission for it to be messy and imperfect. The goal isn't a perfect start, it's just a start. Okay, so you've managed to start. Awesome. But how do you keep going? How do you actually finish things? Welcome to part 2, finish anything. This is where a lot of us get stuck. Now, this next part is maybe the biggest mindset shift you'll ever make. We all think we need to feel motivated before we can act. But the truth is, it works the exact opposite way. Making a little bit of progress is what creates the feeling of motivation. Action is the spark, not the result. And the tool we're going to use for this is what I call the minimum finish rule. The whole idea is to create this unbreakable chain of small wins. You break your big task into tiny little pieces, and you commit to finishing a super small, non-negotiable minimum each day. And then, this is key, you set up the very next step for tomorrow. That way, you're not starting from zero again. It just gets easier and easier to keep the ball rolling. And just burn this into your brain. Finished beats perfect. Always. Perfectionism, that's the real enemy of getting things done. Letting yourself complete something that isn't perfect is the only way you're ever going to finish anything. But what about those days when you're just completely wiped, too tired to even try? Well, that brings us to part 3, the art of recovery. This is the piece of the puzzle almost everybody skips, and it's exactly why they burn out. We have to completely reframe how we think about this. Listen, you are not lazy. You are overloaded. We've been taught to treat rest like it's some kind of reward we get after we do the hard work. That is completely backwards. Rest isn't the reward, it's the fuel.
So how do we actually refuel? We have to be intentional about it. This means things like having a consistent sleep schedule, taking short walks without your phone to just clear your head, doing something fun and not feeling guilty about it. A huge one is stopping your work before you're totally exhausted. These things aren't breaks from the work, they're an essential part of the work.
Okay, now for the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this is the most powerful part. These tools, they work. But for real, lasting change to happen, it has to go deeper. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you decide you're going to be.
Here's the thing. Your brain believes whatever story you tell it. The old story, well, that's a trap, isn't it? It says, I'm lazy, or I just need to find some motivation. But the new story, that's an active one.
Instead of I'm lazy, you say I'm learning discipline. Instead of waiting for motivation, you say I show up for 10 minutes. See the difference? The news story is about your actions, not your feelings.
And that, right there, is the ultimate truth of it all. Your identity, who you are, it isn't shaped by big promises or New Year's resolutions. You literally become what you practice every single day, even when it's small.
So after all this, where do you even begin? It all starts with one little number, 10. 10 minutes. That's it. That is your entire commitment. We're not trying to run a marathon here, we're just lacing up our shoes. And the rules couldn't be simpler. For those 10 minutes, no phone, and just one task. That's the whole system right there. It's small enough that it feels easy, but it's powerful enough to actually make a real difference. Because here's the secret. Real transformation, the kind that actually sticks, it's not about some heroic all-night study session. It's about that tiny, consistent promise you keep to yourself. It's about proving, just 10 minutes at a time, that you're the kind of person who shows up. And that small, repeated action, well, that's how everything changes.